All right, today at long last, I'm going to show you how to put on a cover to your book. This is the third part of the bookbinding series. In the second one, we sewed all the signatures together and made a bound book. In the first one, we cut our signatures and I think we got started on those. And now it's time for the cover. This is the last part of the book and then you'll have a finished book. All right, you need something for your cover. This can be trash. You can use anything. This is my trash example. This is an anthropology bag. I really love these birds, and so this would be a great cover for a smaller book. You can use tissue paper. Wrapping paper is cute. Oh, I've done with wrapping paper before. That's cute. So any kind of trash paper that's too cute to throw away, you can make into a book cover. This is some linen. It was natural linen that I bought that was undyed, and we dyed it, the girls and I dyed it with walnuts from our yard. So this was a fun little project, and I really, really like the color that it turned out. So that's what I'm going to use today to show you. And then another is pre-bought paper that is bought specifically for the purpose of making a cover. These two papers are super thick. I got these at Joann Crafts. They are very, almost like cardstock. They're so thick. I think they are just beautiful. But we'll start with the fabric today. You want to start with your fabric pretty well ironed. This is something I never do, so usually my books look kind of wrinkly. And you lay it out before you like this, and you're going to want to make sure that it fits. This is a little bit like sewing or quilting because you want to leave some edges along the side. Because I don't cover the spine of my book, I leave the binding to show. I usually want a very straight line because it's just going to be the raw edge showing here. That's the way I do it. So I'm going to cut this. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, but I want it as straight as I can get it. The beauty of fabric is that it's kind of maneuverable. If you stretch it a little bit to one side or the other, you can kind of make it do what you want it to do. All right, so you line it up pretty close to the edge here, and you can fold it over just a little bit so it doesn't have to be perfect. But you want it as close to the edge as possible. And you want about this much or maybe a little less. I'll probably trim this off so that I don't have the hairy stuff on either side. But you want it about even. And then you're going to cut with about an inch or so this way, because all of these are going to be folded in. And I'm just eyeballing this. I don't, much like my recipes when I don't measure, I'm bad at measuring. I'm bad at technical things. And then I'm just going to trim these hairy edges off because they'll be in my way, and this will be a nicer edge for me. It's a little crooked. You can kind of straighten it up if you see that it's obviously crooked. The edges will not show in the end. So they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be perfectly straight. They'll be covered up by the inside flap. We'll get to that part. This is an amateur kind of thing. Okay, and then you just take your next one, and because they're going to be the same size, you just do it again. All right, so I'm just going to cut out this in the same size as the first one. You're gonna decide which side you're doing first, and just kind of lay this over to make sure it fits pretty well. This looks pretty good. I do want it as even as I can get it. So do you see when I fold, it's like wrapping paper. Okay, now we're gonna get to the gluing part. And another thing you need is just a piece of paper. This is a drawing of Ingrid's that she said I could use. What you're going to do is you're going to tuck this in underneath the first page, okay? Just like that, because you're going to paint around and you don't want to get glue. You're going to paint the glue on. You don't want to get the glue on the other pages. I use Mod Podge. I accidentally bought the wrong kind of Mod Podge last time. I really like the flat, and I got the satin. I don't like the way it smells, and I don't think it holds as well. But if you have a craft glue of your preference, use whatever you like, because it really doesn't matter as long as it sticks. All right, so I've got my paintbrush, dab the water off, and I'm ready to get my glue on. Liberally applied. And you want to work kind of fast, because obviously you don't want the glue dry in one spot while still applying at other spots. So you go right up to the edge on all the edges and all through the middle. Through the middle you want to be a little less lumpy because it will show through if you're using fabric. It sometimes bleeds through. So you just get it on. Along the edge of the binding, you do want to be careful because you don't want the glue to kind of spread down the binding. So you just kind of dab on the edge like this. And when I'm sticking on my cover fabric, I begin with that edge. That's where I start sticking. Okay. And then you take your fabric and you very carefully lay it over the top. Kind of making sure as much as you can that your top and bottom edges hanging off are about the same. And then you just kind of carefully roll that fabric along the edge here. And then spread it this way, okay? You're just spreading it flat. There are probably tools to use for this, but I use my hands. Just spread it nice and flat with a good pressure. Get it sticking. See, I've got a little glue showing through here. It doesn't really matter because it's clear, but I don't know. I don't like it. Okay, and once you've got your cover flat like that, just open it up very carefully. Peel it away from that white piece of paper that you used. And this is what it should look like on the inside. You fold the corner in, and then you fold the edges like that. And you get this sweet little corner right here. Isn't that good? But the first thing you do before you make your corners is you apply your glue. Oops. So you're gonna apply a pretty good amount of the glue just on the edges here. It's okay if this white will be covered by this page. So it's okay if you get some in the middle. It doesn't matter. But really for this part, we only need it along the edge. Okay, so what I do first is one corner. I fold it down, and then I take in my top, fold it down, and apply pressure to it while drawing it down flat. And it should stick with the glue pretty well. And then I do the other one. Also, I put a little bit of glue. My brushes are really bad. I need new glue brushes. They've been left out too much. I apply a little bit of glue here in the corner, and then again on the top. You really want those corners stuck down. Okay, this is kind of coming unstuck here. Okay, and then you fold over this one. Nice and tight. Okay. Always pressing in from the outside and smoothing. And then you do your corner this way, the same way. Kind of tucking that corner first and then folding over here, okay? That's pretty good. Little more glue at the corner, under here. Okay, and then on top also. I'll do this last edge. And it's okay that there is glue showing there, and it's okay that this looks so rough because it will be covered up. This will all be covered just to about the edges. So there we go. All right, now you're going to need your scissors again, and I've lost mine, of course. And this part is the part that could probably be done better. What you're going to be doing is gluing this page to here. You don't have to cut it. You can just glue the page right here. But I tend to round my corners just a little bit. So I just barely kind of round off my corners. I just do this for my own pleasure is all. So that it looks a little bit different. It looks like, see, you can kind of see my corners. Maybe it's because I like making corners. I'm not sure why I do this. But in any case, I like to round my corners, but you don't have to. Now we're going to apply glue again. I take my trusty illustration from Ingrid, tuck it in so I don't get any of the other pages dirty, and you apply the glue to the alternate page, to the end paper is what it is. And you want to fill the edges more heavily because they've got to stick pretty well to the fabric. You don't want it peeling off, but also a little bit to the middle. Okay, so I usually just kind of rough it in the middle. Just need it sticking a little bit, but not super well. Okay, that's good. You sandwich it together. Okay. And sometimes I sit on it. I sit on it to make sure that it's getting really good and stuck. Now, remember, I'm not a professional bookbinder. I just do this for fun. And so along my edge, I've got a few little hairy things. You can go in with a finer paintbrush, paint a little bit on there, stick it down nicely. I'll probably be doing that. All right, if you peel away, you've got your inside and it looks like that. And then you do the other side. All right, and then you've got your finished book. You have your front cover. Actually, this one turned out a little wonky, so I'm gonna make that the front cover. Your end papers here. And sometimes, if it's a book for myself, sometimes I watercolor the inside of the end papers or draw on them. And then you've got your book. Other side. And that's it. You've got a complete piece. I want to show you the difference that I use, the different technique I use for putting on the cover with paper, especially thick paper. Some paper is thin enough, tissue paper, wrapping paper, it's thin enough that you can do the corners the same way that you do the fabric corners. But with this thick paper that I got, I have to cut out the corners. And so after I've glued on like this, you see I have my edges here, I have to cut right here. I just make a snip into the corner, and then I make a snip into the corner because it's not foldable. It's just too thick and bulky. So I just totally cut out the corners altogether. And then I just fold down. So the corners won't look the same as the fabric ones. Okay, so I've pre-folded my paper sides, and then I'll fold them sort of like an envelope like this, and then glue them. All right, so now I've made these two books. I finished this one up just the way I did the fabric one. I rounded the corners and I stuck them down, and I did it on both sides, and this is how it looks. The linen one, all finished. And then I went ahead and I did make this little bird one on a single signature. You can make books as tiny as you want. You can make them as large as you want. I'm happy with the bird one. So that's it. Now you can, on your own, make books for yourself using these 3 videos. Hopefully I'm clear enough to be able to enable you to do that. Thanks for watching.